In the spirit of reconciliation, both Konica Minolta and Mobile Industrial Robots acknowledges the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and their connections to land, sea, and community. We pay our respect to their elders past and present and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples today. Thank you for joining us to discuss how the fast-moving consumer goods industry is adopting autonomous solutions. We're very lucky to have Volodymyr Vovk, Global Account Director of FMCG and Life Sciences at MiR, with us today. Volod's an expert in how FMCG businesses are implementing AMRs globally. He joins us from Denmark, and we're particularly thankful not just to him, but also to his family for getting up so early so that Volod could join the call this morning or this afternoon in Australia. My name's Martin Keetels, and I'm the National Manager of Emerging Tech at Konica Minolta. There are three distinct business units in this business. The first is 3D printing. The second is R&D projects that Konica Minolta is working on. And the third, of course, is our autonomous mobile robots business. In this business, we partner solely with Mobile Industrial Robots, and we believe firmly that MiR manufactures and supports the best AMRs in the world. We have three resellers and integrators in the Australian market with whom we work closely. These are Jag Jacob, Fast Automation, and Diversco, and they're all joining us today as well. So Konica Minolta is a global business, and we have a vision statement within our emerging technologies team to transform the work experience and connect people, technology, and information that drives dynamic business change. This is uniform for all of our business units, but particularly so for our AMR business unit. This is our business at a glance. We have a history of 140 years, which means we've had to innovate and transform multiple times through that time period. At the current count, we're about 45,000 employees globally. And as a business, especially here in Australia, we have an extremely strong commitment to Australian human rights. And indeed, we do a lot of work both within gender and diversity generally. So, for example, we're proudly a member of the Workplace Gender Equality Agency, or WEGA, and we also, we make a lot of decisions based on those values. From an innovation perspective, we have 5 global innovation centres. I work particularly close with our innovation centre in Asia Pacific in Singapore. And the Singaporean business unit actually develops software and hardware that is sold as a complementor to the MiR business. One of the reasons that we got into partnering with MiR and focusing on autonomous robots is, in fact, our ability to support this growing technology. So when people think about Konica Minolta and autonomous robots, we often get asked, well, it's pretty different to cameras or photocopiers or printers and other things that you're more well known for in the market. But one of the reasons we're doing this is we're leveraging the infrastructure that we've developed as a result of those other business units to support the growth of these emerging technologies in the market. And one of these is actually our service coverage and our install base of other solutions. So Australia is a vast continent, as you can see there, but no matter where your FMCG business is, Konica Minolta Australia can support you through working either with our direct business or our partners. I talked a little bit about our innovation centre in Singapore, building technologies that are able to be sold and value add to our autonomous mobile robots. One of these is actually S-Connect. It's a dashboard that we sell alongside our robots, and it sits either on the server or on in the cloud, and is able to work across a fleet of robots to provide insights and data insights into the business. For example, the dashboard is able to provide the business with an overall effectiveness display about how much the robots are being utilized, how much downtime they have, how much time they're sitting on charge, how much time they're in missions. And we can even provide a heat map so that we can visualize that data really effectively and see where there are bottlenecks in your facility. So this is just one value add that we provide to our customers by virtue of the fact that our innovation center in Singapore, in Asia Pacific, is working with us on this technology. This is a simulation that I wanted to share. It was developed hand in hand with one of our integrators in the market. But this is the type of integrations we are able to achieve with our customers. As I play the video, I actually want to talk to several of the integrations because they're both physical and digital integrations. So here we can see, this is a FMCG business, a global FMCG business that's one of our customers. You can see here that there's a pallet wrapping solution that's occurring on a conveyor. Once that pallet wrapping is completed, there's a digital signal that sends a signal to our fleet software, our MiR fleet software, that essentially commands the robot to position itself. And where it positions itself is actually a physical integration. So you can see here this yellow addition. So you've got a dog leg 90-degree turn there. And what that's doing is it's readying the pallet to be picked up by the AMRs. And what we actually see is that this physical integration is essentially an extension of the conveyor, but one that enables the AMR to actually lift up and pick up the pallet. It then drives away, you can see here, then drives away, turns around and completes what we call a mission. So this particular solution that's being rolled out as we speak essentially delivers around 60 pallets per hour from a position within a warehouse, as you can see, to a staging area. So this is just one example of the type of solution that we're able to do. And it's a good example of both the digital and the physical integrations that Konica Minolta is able to provide its customers here in the Australian market.
So yeah, everyone, thanks again for joining, and apologize for you. We'll try to catch up the lowest time. So what we have prepared for you today is a short agenda from our side. A very brief introduction into MiR, both as a company, but also mainly as a technology. There's a couple of questions we would like to cover here, especially on the differences of the AMR and the AGV. As quite often this is the topic that's being raised among our FMCG customers. So we try to cover a very high level that and explain how the technology works. We have also prepared a live demonstration of our newest innovation, which has been developed and launched really with the FMCG in mind. We worked a lot with our customers to get the right feedback. What does it make the robot fit for purpose in FMCG? And we are happy to launch a couple of new robots, and we will demo them in front of you today to see the newest features and key value proposition of those robots. Then we will move into the applications where MiR creates a value in the FMCG. What I have chosen today to focus really on the biggest or the most often applications that we see in this space. I think in general, the applications are quite numerous of the AMR, how you can deploy FMCG, but I think we will really focus on those that majority of customers focus on, because that really creates a value or the scale and the right ROI. And I'll speak a bit about in terms of how we go to market. So to start off, who is MiR? So we are a Danish company which is located and with a head office in Denmark. However, we are part of the larger American organization, Teradyne, a part of S&P 500 company, and we are located in the industrial automation business unit. There is a number of companies there as a part of that mix, trying to propose a different type of collaborative technologies for those who worked with cobot arms like Universal Robots. This is our sister company, also located here in Denmark. Although it is important to say that these companies are separate units, we of course cooperate across the different topics, but commercially we are sitting in different companies. We are present today in more than 50 countries through our distributor network or partner network, like Konica Minolta. We do have the offices in both in Europe, in Asia, and US. Those are mainly our sales offices, but also technical support that supports our customers and our partners in those markets. Not going through much the history of MiR. What I want to call out is that 2 years ago, MiR has called out FMCG as one of the strategic industries. And that what it means to you is that first of all, a role like mine is created, someone who is managing the global segment and global relationship with our customers, with the sole purpose to really understand your needs, to really understand the use cases, to really understand what does it take to be the right technology there, and then also bring the forward innovation that we all the time bring the product that fit for purpose for the industry, which I believe is really important when we're trying to create a value for specific industry. Next. So again, so what is MiR is focusing on, and I think it's pretty straightforward. I think what the key of our key competency is looking at internal logistics or enabling really safe and efficient material handling process in the different industry, FMCG included. Anything that moves today, or being moved today by the forklift conveyors or AGVs, we believe, but also our customers already see that in the future, AMRs could be really creating the value in that space. So anything that in the space of material handling, we see our core competency to really drive innovation in that space. Next. So if AGV, I think the key that I really want to call out today is couple of points. So first of all, it is a nimble and pretty agile technology, which really gives a very different level of penetration. So one of our customers within the FMCG, I think to quote them, he says that this technology really gives the penetration to go far into the production to really automate something which has been deemed impossible before. This technology does not require infrastructure. Even the laser reflectors, for those who have today the LGVs in your facility, you still know that you need some sort of a corridors or infrastructure to navigate that technology. With AMRs, you don't need to. Our technology has a capability itself to move around your facility to create a digital map of your facility and where you can afterwards define where technology can navigate. It has enhanced safety features. It's clearly what we do is paramount for us that is safe, and again, exactly for the reason that we see this technology collaborative. It has to work alongside the people, so safety alongside the efficiency is the key for us. Ease of use is also the key. So the flexibility and ease of changing the routes in-house by the employees is crucial for us, because we do see that this technology will need to be eventually managed by the people who is on the site. So as a part of the deployment of our projects, we work with our end users to really bring them up to speed and give them the tools to easily change the missions or the maps for the fleet of the robots. Because we do see that the environment changes in the FMCG. There is need to either deploy new lines or to change the layout. And of course, that should make it easy for our customers actually to use our technology rather than bringing someone from outside or consultants to do that for them. So again, there is an ease of use and cost saving here. And the last one, what I want to also call out, which is very in line with the first point, because it is nimble and because it is agile, you really have an opportunity to add scale to your fleet. We see today the fleets in FMCG of more than 20 robots and 1 production floor doing the missions. You will see in some of the use cases ahead of us, which really allows to automate a multiple automation points in your facility, and therefore given the scale. And we know when we talk FMCG, scale is what you're looking for. If there is no scale, then it is not interesting. If we move to the next slide. So very briefly, and for those who want a bit more, we can always connect on a separate call. But in terms of how does it navigate today? So as mentioned, our technology does not require any sort of infrastructure, and that is because we are using all the sensors that we have in our technology, either 6 scanners, 3D cameras, proximity sensors, to take those inputs from the environment around the robots, place itself on the map that the robot has created, and figure out how to get the best optimal route from mission A to mission B. The way we work in our robots with your facility, we work with something what we call global map, and that is the map where we know your full layout of the facility, where we are allowed to drive, where we are not, where the restricted area, or where there is potentially mixed traffic because of the other technology like forklift or AGV. And then using all that data that we have, our robot will use what we call local map. And that is, as it progresses through the mission in your facility, and someone steps in front of them, or there is someone has left the pallet on the way of the robot. Robot will, by using the global map, will find the optimal route. And that means our robots will always develop the mission, comparing to other technologies like AGV, which might stall because there is only a certain route it's allowed to use, or the corridor that it has at his disposal because of the infrastructure. So clearly that is much more flexible technology, allows you really to navigate in a dynamic environment, and most importantly, what is in for FMCG, among the people. Next slide. So on this slide, we will have prepared a small demonstration. So Martin, I think you will have to click once again, and here you will see a demo of our newest robot. Hi,
I'm Dana, and I'm in the showroom at MiR headquarters. I would like to introduce our new large platform robots, the MiR 600 and the MiR 1350. The MiR 600 and the MiR 1350 are capable of heavy-duty lifting of up to 600 kilograms and 1,350 kilograms of payload. They're ready to automate your internal logistics. This MiR 600 is equipped with our EU Lift top module. This top module enables the robot to pick up and place EU-sized pallets. Right now, the robot's getting in position to dock to the pallet rack. It's using the laser scanners for precise positioning with the pallet rack. The robot will drive into the pallet rack, and the lift will push up into the EU-sized pallet to pick up the pallet. Now you can
I'm going to stop there and just input here that we can also pick up Australian size pallets. So yeah, 1145 by 1145 or jet pallets, for example, can also be used with a different top module.
See the robot undocks from the pallet rack with the pallet in place. Next, the lifters will lower it for safe positioning on top of the robot. Next, the robot will drive away to place the pallet in the desired location in the facility. And now I'd like to talk to you about the MiR 1350 pallet lift top module. This top module enables the robot to pick up and place US-sized pallets and a variety of other sized pallets. This design is very similar to our shelf lift top module that enables the robot to pick up and place shelves that carry a payload. And now I'd like to hand it over to Charles, who's going to tell you more about the hardware for the MiR 600 and MiR 1350.
Thank you very much, Dana. I'm standing here in front of the 1350. Both the MiR 600 and the 1350 are both based on the same robust platform and offers the same functionalities. The MiR 600 can drive 2 meters per second and the 1350 can drive 1.2 meters per second. It is the first AMR that has an IP rating of 52. That is due to the improved protection against dust and water droplets. That means we can drive in more environments. We have improved the framing and the boogie of the robot to be able to withstand the higher payload. Here in the front, we have changed the orientation of the cameras to improve and reduce blind spots. Now I'm going to open the front compartment to show you how it looks. In the front compartment, we have rearranged the components to make it easier to service. All the components are mounted in a way that makes them easy to take out if needed. We have used the same battery as we did in the MiR 250. It is easily accessible through 2 buttons. We have moved the battery compartments to the side of the robots instead. That means we can easily swap the batteries to make the robot run 24/7 with the minimum downtime. The battery connector has 3 options. Option 1 is where I'm at now, that I can remove the battery. Option 2 locks the battery in place for transportation. Option 3 locks the battery in and connects it. Now I can turn on the robot. Here in the back, we can open it in the same way as we can the side. These 2 buttons. In here, we have the brake release switch that can enable the robot to move. Inside this black box, we have sealed away the carrier board and the motor controller due to the IP rating, so it's better protected from dust and water droplets. And now I'm going to hand it back to you, Dana, for the safety demonstration.
I'm in the center of the showroom now, and what you see on the ground is a projected view of the robot map. I'm going to be using this a little bit later to talk about navigation by the robot. But first, I'd like to talk about safety on the MiR 600 and 1350. These robots are heavy-duty robots designed to transport heavy payloads. And for this reason, it's crucial that they operate safely in an environment, especially around people. They have been designed to comply with the safety standard ISO 3691-4 that is applicable for AMRs. The robot uses a robot map to navigate safely in its environment. Laser scanners on the robot identify obstacles and detect obstacles in the environment. You can see under my feet, red dots indicating live laser scanner data. This means the robot has identified me as a dynamic obstacle in its environment. And now I'd like to demonstrate the collision avoidance safety function, which says that if I step into the path of the robot, it will plan a new path safely around me so as to avoid colliding with me. Right now on the ground, you see the planned path indicated by these dots for the robot. If I step into its planned path as an obstacle, you can see the robot plan a new path around me. This new path ensured the robot did not collide with me. And that concludes our presentation. I hope you enjoyed learning about the MiR 600 and 1350.
Yes, so we hope you enjoyed the presentation of our newest robot. As mentioned, what is really key about this comparing to the earlier versions of MiR 500, MiR 1000, which has been successfully on the market for quite some time. In the conversations with the FMCG, we understand, and you will see in a moment as well, the pallet movement is one of the largest applications that we have in the FMCG space. And that, of course, has raised a couple of questions. So first of all, compliance with the safety. We understand how safety is important in FMCG. So with the introduction of the newest ISO standard 3691-4, which applies to the AMRs and has been called out as a key among the FMCG players globally, both in Europe, US, these robots have been made compliant with that. On top of that, as you probably have noticed also during the demonstration, these are the unique robots which are now IP52 have a safety rating, protection rating. And what that means, because as we go into the production space to either to transport the packaging material, or we need to transport the finished goods in the warehouse, there is a possibility that the small dust particles will continuously accumulate in the robots, which is first of all has an impact on the robot performance itself, but also could lead to the risk of those particles due to the overheating could turn into the fire. So what we have seen that there was a key request from FMCG players that IP52 has to be established if we are to transport the different components on top of our robots. And with that in mind, we have innovated and brought the new robots to the market. As you can see today on the screen in front of us, we do have a larger assortment of different robots which can enable different automation needs. So the robots that you see here and the numbers that you see in front of the robots, they represent the payload capability. So we can both move some of the components in your facility that does not require or have a low consumption and therefore are not being moved by pallets, but rather on sort of a carts. So we have a smaller robots like MiR 250, which is the hero product in FMCG, which can transport today the different cart solutions on which you will be able to mount different components or elements that needs to be brought to the packing and production lines. We do also see some work being done by MiR Hook, because in some of the facilities you do have a different carts which needs to be moved, and you don't would like them to be exchanged. So this technology really out of the box solution where we can come into your facility and move some of those carts, whether this is a distribution center where we need to move some beverages or other carts with reused materials or waste materials, so to speak. I think what I also want to call out in this assortment, besides that, we also have for our larger robots, we have lift solutions which will allow you, as mentioned earlier today, out of the box lift pallets, Euro size pallets or closed pallets, and as Martin mentioned, we all have a solution to lift Australian pallets as well. I think what is the key here to really call out is the MiR Fleet. And MiR Fleet is a traffic management system. And you ask why that is important. I think, of course, robot is an important element of your automation need, right? It needs to be safe, it needs to be robust and productive. But again, going back to comparison to the AGVs, these are robots with a smaller footprint that really allow to bring now a large amount of these machines into your facility. So the traffic management or effective utilization of that hardware is becoming the key. So you can have a great robot, but if you don't have a software managed that can manage the large fleet at a large scale, then you won't achieve that automation scalability that you are all seeking for. So this is our strategic priority, that we already can manage the fleets about 50 robots in one facility, but we won't go beyond that and go to the 100 and so, because we really see that is the direction that our customers go with. We also team up with the different suppliers on the market, or we will build the ecosystem that there can be developed customized solution for MiR in terms of different top modules, and those you can find in the MiR Go. I will not be going into that. So let's go in.
Can I just interrupt here and say the MiR fleet as well is the means by which it integrates, the solution integrates with open APIs. So customers that are operating WMS or indeed any type of software that the MiR solution needs to integrate with, that's the means by which it happens. But it's also the means by which we do things like we balance the charging. So if there's one robot that's 30% charged, another that's 99% charged, when there's the option to send one of those chargers one of those robots to charge, it'll send the one that requires the charge more. So that MiR fleet software is really important for that. Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, thank you, Martin. That was actually a very good comment that I should have raised as well. I think especially to the fact that MiR is the bridge between your MES and WMS system, right? As we now will speak in a moment about use cases, the digitalization of the workflow of material flow is something all FMCG companies are trying to achieve. So connecting MiR fleet into your WMS will help you to understand where is your material today on the flow. Is it arriving in time to specific mission or packing point? So yeah, thank you, Martin, for the comment. So if we try to go into to the next, what is actually all this means and why it is relevant for FMCG? So I think I was looking for another slide, but I think I can work with that as well. So if we look today at FMCG, and I think I'll just try to take a step back and say, what is the complexity drivers that we have in your business today? And that is clearly, the new brands, the new channels, the retailers. You have e-commerce. We are now having the sustainability topics really dominating in this space. And what all that means is simply the fact that you are producing more and more SKUs in your facility, which really drives the complexity for you, which really drives the downtime on your production line, because every time you need to switch from one SKU to another, you will have to bring new components, new packaging that really differentiates one product from another. And that material flow has been extremely challenging to automate in FMCG, driven by the two factors. So first of all, you have a very limited space, really constrained space, because you've been putting the production lines over time to really get the most out of your facilities. And number two, you still have a lot of people operators. So bringing that automation or bringing that AGV into that space has not been really feasible, because there is no enough space for do that. And frankly, there are people there which does not allow you to do that. So, and that's why I think one of our customers saying, with the safety and the footprint that this technology really enables you, you really actually can go further into the production that you could ever do before. And therefore, I think this is not a surprise that when we start looking at the key use cases that we start with, or the majority of use cases that we have today in FMCG, this is really in the production space, or filling or the packing hole area. Probably 95% of our use cases today are actually in that space, because there is a really big automation need now. And that is where we have our assortment of either small robots of MiR 200, if we need to bring the components like caps, or we need to bring the stickers to the production line, or we're looking at the consumables who have a large volume and therefore transported today on the pallets. So we very often see the combinations of MiR 250, MiR 500 really going into that packing hole and having automate that. There are two objectives with that automation. I think one is very straightforward. So let's get that automate and remove some of the FTEs from the equation and relocate them to the more value-adding jobs. So we will get the robot to move that. But I think what we have seen with many companies, they see a larger opportunities when they build a business case around that, because if the way they see that both the inbound and outbound logistic of those material is really what is holding down your production time, right? So if deploying the large fleet of robots, which will swoop in to take the unused components and bring the new components for the new production line, we actually can reduce the changeover cycle and over longer periods of time increase the throughput of your facility. So this is really sort of two objectives that companies are working with, trying to bring this technology besides automating, but actually looking can we add the capacity in our companies. So that is number one. What we have, and actually, so as MiR's ambition is of course to be key technology in this space. That's why we innovate on safety. That's why we innovate on our IP rating, because we understand that what we will need to move, we will need to move the blank cartons or stuff that from the RPM warehouse, which potentially have a dust, and therefore, we have the IP rating as we do. So we do see that if we go upstream, that flow we would like from the MiR perspective to be really fit for purpose. We do see that AGVs will continue being your RPM warehouse, taking those components off the rack, putting them in the supermarket area where we will come in and we will manage delivery to your production line depending on your production schedule. And that's why Martin's point in terms of that we can be connected into your MES system is a really good example that how really you can digitalize that flow from the RPM warehouse to your production and packaging lines. Now, what we also see is that as companies have deployed that into the production and pack and hold space, it has only been natural that they started looking downstream. And end-of-line palletizing is really something which has been emerging in the last 12 months as a key area of application. And again, it is very much driven by the fact that today, not that many facilities will have a lot of space at the end-of-line palletizing station, right, or the palletizing cell. There's still, places constrained. You can send the AGV from warehouse to the end-of-line and to pick up the finished goods. In many cases, economically, it's not feasible to do that or right to do it, because if you think of meter driven by expensive LGV, all those 200 meters to your end of line, MiR can do this much better and safer to take over that part of the workflow. And actually what we see that a lot of today, those end-of-line stations are being retrofitted with the AMR, with the AMR technology helping to do that. So you would have 2 or 3 MiR 1000s working with a flow, delivering the empty pallets to the palletizer station, removing the finished goods, transferring into the warehouse, where once again AGV or your forklift operators would take over and do it, put it into the put-away warehouse. What we have also actually seen that because there've been increasing demand from FMCG players for the end-of-line palletizing, that we actually see now manufacturers of the high-speed palletizing stations, they will be deploying their new stations with the AMRs from the onset of that installation. So for those who are interested, you can follow some of the innovations here in Europe, and in Fachpark later this month, we will be launching together with the CSI portal end-to-end solution of the end-of-line palletizer and AMR into it. So this is clearly the two use cases that I would like to call out today. Martin, can we see what's on the next slide? Yes, and I think this is what we try to visualize a bit with our presentation or with our conceptual video, how AMRs can both address the components automation, that is the left side, left video. So you can see here we are taking out the components from your packaging material warehouse and bringing into into the production, or potentially taking over from what some of you call a supermarket area or intermediate warehouse, where a storage space where you store different components, and again where different robots will come in, take over those components and bring to the production line or to the packing line. On the right side, as I mentioned, again, talk to end-of-line palletizers, which is increasingly growing, and I think we will see more and more of that deployment coming up. There is a number of other applications that you can find today in FMCG, which we didn't prepare any material on because these are the ones with the scale. But if just to call out a couple of others, so of course, we see our robots today helping with empty pellets removal, discarded materials or packaging, so waste movement. What we have also seen actually, which has been a very interesting use case, is actually quality samples handling. In FMCG, as you probably know, transparency is the key of, or traceability is the key of your product. So every production run, you would need to take out some samples out of your production. So today, those would be removed by people operators and then removed to the storage. What we have seen is actually either with the deployment of AMR, MiR AMR, a UR robot on top of that, there are use cases where those samples will be taken straight from the running line, or simply MiR will be used to shuttle those samples from line to the storage area. So clearly, I think the use cases is more about your imagination and where do you have today. Of course, the business case, which we understand, needs to be also lived up, and that is what we focus and see a lot of use cases on. Next slide. Yeah. So just to recap on how do we organize around our customers. MiR is a manufacturer of the hardware, and the way we bring the technology to the market is through our valuable partnerships with our distributors in the markets. We do though see that and we work closely with our distributor partners on developing the integrated network, who is becoming quite a key in a successful implementation and deployment. As Martin mentioned today, and we spoke about it, if we think of the use cases either in the production or packing hall, or we think end of line, connecting into the higher systems of MES or WMS to really make that the digitalized workflow make it digitalized, we really need to connect those that fleet into the system. And that we need to have a capable partners who understand your flow, who understand your system, and you are comfortable to take on that project where you know that's going to happen. And that is the key in FMCG, I must say. Only a few projects we see today where probably in the year one of the implementation that missions will be handled manually. So there will be person operator with the HMI calling or assigning the mission to the robots, but always as a part of that roadmap, a year or two or onwards, connection into the higher system is already in as a part of the business case. So of course, implementation partners are key, and that is what we work both in MiR, but also with our partners in the markets to really understand who is in your market, can do that type of job for FMCG. So when you have the project for us, we can recommend and direct it into the right direction. So thank you very much for dialing in. Really apologies for my technical issues out in Europe here. I hope I didn't destroy your seminar on this, and hopefully some of the information that I have shared today has been both inspiring and give you some direction how this technology can help automate your flow. Martin, over to you.
Not at all, Volod. Thank you so much for rejoining. And yeah, to all the people who have joined us today, thank you very much for your patience. And we really do look forward to connecting with you on a more personal level after this webinar. Volod's very kindly made himself available for any customer interactions that occur as a result of this. So if you are considering an FMCG deployment or even just investigating it, please do get in touch with us or one of our resellers/integrators, and we'd love to work with you on that project. I would like to thank Volod for joining us again, and thank you all for your patience again for attending this webinar. We do look forward to seeing you again, and we'll have another webinar in the next couple of months. So thank you all, and have a good evening. Thank you. Bye.
Giving shape to ideas. Konica Minolta.